Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Farzana Zakirah Binti Misran with the matrix number AN190125. I am under the supervision of Dr. Eliza Binti Muhammad. The title of my project is Evaluation of the Potential of Lycopersicon esculentum and Centella asiatica extracts to be incorporated in soap formulation. Now, I will go through the abstract of this study. Okay, herbal soap has been studied to be a possible replacement for commercial soap since it uses natural ingredient in its production. Therefore, in this study, physical chemical properties, antioxidant and also antimicrobial properties of herbal soap containing the Lycopersicon esculentum and Centella asiatica extracts were evaluated. Okay, both of the mentioned herbs were chosen due to their well-known antioxidant and antibacterial properties. To obtain the extracts of the herbal plants, Soxhlet extraction method were conducted with ethanol as the solvent, and each extraction session runs for 12 hours with repeating cycle. The extracts obtained were then used in the herbal soap production, and the completed soap were tested on its physical chemical properties such as its pH, moisture content, foam retention, and also its total fatty matter. The soap were also tested on their antioxidant and antimicrobial properties. From the results obtained, both extracts showed high potential to be incorporated in soap formulation. There were 8 types of soaps formulated during this study. There were 1 soap of soap base, 3 soaps containing Lycopersicon esculentum extracts, and another 3 soap containing Centella asiatica extracts, and 1 soap which contains both of the extracts. And by comparing all the results obtained for all 8 soap formulation T3, which contains the Lycopersicon esculentum, has the best results as a herbal soap. The data recorded was for its pH, it was 11.24, while for its foam height retention, it recorded 3.97 with a standard deviation of 1.32 cm. For its moisture content, it was 25.6 with a standard deviation of 0.49%, and for its total fatty matter value, it was 59.61%. And from the antioxidant test, the IC50 value recorded was 2.7062 milligram per milliliter for sample concentration of 5,000 milligram per milliliter. And from antimicrobial test, the T3 soap at concentration of 100% shows inhibition on both E. coli and S. epidermidis bacteria. The zone of inhibition measured for S. epidermidis bacteria was 0.93 with a standard deviation of 0.25 cm, and for E. coli bacteria it was 0.93 with standard deviation of 0.21 cm. Therefore, all in all, this study helps in obtaining significant information on the antioxidant and antimicrobial properties of Lycopersicon esculentum extract and Centella asiatica extracts, which can be further studied in order to formulate and produce more effective herbal soap. Now I will move on to the introduction. These are the few problem statements listed during this study. So firstly, why do we need to produce herbal soap? This is because, as mentioned before, herbal soap can be used to substitute commercial soap, which uses chemical substances in its production and can cause health risks such as risk of cancer and skin allergies. And secondly, what methods are used to obtain the extracts from the herbal plants? In this study, Soxhlet extraction method was conducted, where it allows for repeated extractions during the 12 hours session and resulting in a complete extraction of the plant by using a minimal amount of solvent. And lastly, what type of solvent are used for the extraction? During this study, ethanol was used as the solvent. This is because it is safer than other solvents such as methanol, and it could retrieve a big amount of the extracts. And during the purification process, the ethanol would evaporate completely, leaving a non-toxic extract. Next, there are 5 objectives of conducting this study. Firstly, to extract from Lycopersicon esculentum and Centella asiatica by using Soxhlet extraction method. Second, it is to test the antimicrobial and antioxidant properties of the extracts obtained. The third objective is to produce herbal soap containing Lycopersicon esculentum extracts, soap containing Centella asiatica extracts, and soap containing both Lycopersicon esculentum and Centella asiatica extracts. The fourth objective is to perform the physico-chemical test on the soap. And lastly, to determine the antimicrobial and antioxidant properties of the soap produced. Now we will move on to the literature. Firstly, Centella asiatica. It is a herb with well-known therapeutic characteristics such as anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, wound healing, anti-cancer activity, and also neurological treatment. Centella asiatica also has antimicrobial properties, which mainly comes from the ethanolic extracts of the herb, and also has high antioxidant activity, which is equivalent to that of the rosemary and sage. Next is Lycopersicon esculentum. This herb contains high amount of beta-carotene and lycopene, which provides the antioxidant qualities in the herbs and aids in the cell protection or the repair of damaged cells. Lycopersicon esculentum also has excellent antimicrobial properties, where it can inhibit the development of pathogens such as E. coli and also Salmonella typhimurium. Next is antioxidant activity. It is a bioregulator and oxidation suppressor, which help to extend the shelf life of a soap and avoiding free radical damage, where free radicals are unstable atoms which can cause harm to the cells and cause chronic disease. And antimicrobial activity is the antimicrobial performance, described as its capacity to kill or to hinder the growth of germs, where antimicrobiality of soap can prevent against skin problems and treatment to the related infection, and also even skin toning and smoothness. Now I will go into detail of the methodology. The first step is sample preparation. Both herbal plants were oven dried at 65 degrees Celsius for Lycopersicon esculentum and dried for 3 days, while Centella asiatica was dried for 50 degrees Celsius for 3 days. And the dried herbal plants were ground by using an analytical grinder in order to obtain the powder form. And then continuing with the extraction method, extraction step, where the powder form will be weighed and placed into tea bag, where the tea bag is used for the Soxhlet extraction. The tea bag will be placed in the chamber of the Soxhlet apparatus, and solvent were placed in the round bottom flask and placed on a hot plate to be boiled. And the product of Soxhlet extraction will be purified by using vacuum rotary evaporator in order to get the plant extracts. And then the extract were then stored in a bottle and placed in a cold room until further use. Then soap production step. Sodium hydroxide, distilled water, and coconut oil would be mixed together while heating, and once it forms a homogeneous solution, it was removed from the heat to cool down, and while cooling down, the plant extracts were then added into the mixture and mixed together. The mixture was then poured into mold and allow it to set for 24 hours at room temperature, and after 24 hours it was then removed from the mold and left for curing for 2 weeks. And once the soap was completed, it was tested on its physicochemical, antimicrobial, and antioxidant test. The test conducted was a pH test, foam test, total fatty matter test, moisture content test, antimicrobial, and also antioxidant test. Next, I will discuss on the results and discussion obtained from the test conducted. So the first graph shows the result of physicochemical properties of the soap. For pH, range of pH obtained from all soap were in between 10 to 12. It is quite higher than the normal pH range of soap, which is in between 9 to 11. But a study from Takagi state that the application of alkaline soap does not adversely affect the skin health, even though it does increase the pH skin after the application, but after 6 hours, the pH skin would return back to normal and does not left any harm effect on the skin. Next, for foam test, the higher foam content of the soap means the better quality of the soap is, since it has better cleansing qualities. And then for moisture results, the maximum moisture content recommended by the Zambia Bureau of Standards was 25%, and from the results showed, all of the soap have a moisture content below the maximum reading. And lastly, is the total fatty matter content of the soap. The range of total fatty matter content recommended in soap are in between 40 to 70, and from the results show, Centella soap have total fatty matter quite higher, a little bit higher than the recommended range, while mixed soap have total fatty matter content much lower than the recommended value. Next, antimicrobial test. The figure shows one of the results obtained from the antimicrobial test, which is the zone inhibition of T3 soap formulation on the E. coli bacteria. And lastly is the antioxidant test. From the results shown, the tomato soap have the IC50 value a bit higher than the standard value, which means it has a weak antioxidant activity, while for Centella soap has a value of negative 44.8438, which means it has much very strong antioxidant activity. And for mixed soap, it has 5.1247, which is much weaker of antioxidant activity compared to tomato soap. So as a conclusion, from this study, soap containing Lycopersicon esculentum T3 had been chosen as the best soap formulation, considering all the results obtained from the physicochemical properties, antimicrobial activity, and also antioxidant activity. And both extracts of Lycopersicon esculentum and Centella asiatica were successfully extracted through the Soxhlet method. And both extracts of herbs consist of antimicrobial and antioxidant properties proven by the test conducted in the antimicrobial and antioxidant test. And lastly, the herbal soap with extracts was successfully produced through this study. So I will end my presentation today. That's all from me. Thank you.